Welcome, tennis fans, to another incredible deep dive into the heart of the WTA Tour. Today, we are transporting ourselves to the iconic red clay of Rome, specifically the legendary sunken amphitheater of the Nicola Pietrangeli Stadium. If you know tennis, you know that the Internazionali BNL d'Italia is not just a tournament. It is a gladiatorial arena where the greatest players in the world come to test their mettle, their stamina, and their spirit against the grueling demands of the European clay court swing. And what a spectacle we have just witnessed today, Wednesday, May 6, 2026. The round of 128 has delivered an absolute masterclass in tactical shifting, psychological warfare, and raw, unfiltered grit. We are talking about the highly anticipated clash between the Philippines' fast-rising 20-year-old sensation, Alexandra Eala, and Poland's resilient competitor, Magdalena Fręch. The final scoreline? A dizzying roller coaster of a match that saw Eala emerge victorious, 6-0, 3-6, 6-4, in a battle that spanned 2 hours and 7 minutes of pure, heart-stopping drama. This was not just a tennis match. It was a narrative of 3 completely distinct acts, a beautiful chaos that only clay court tennis can provide. Eala, currently ranked world number 42, came into this tournament with something to prove. Last year, on her Rome debut, she was handed a tough first-round exit by Marta Kostyuk. The red dirt of Foro Italico can be unforgiving to newcomers. It demands patience, immense physical conditioning, and a level of point construction that hard court specialists often struggle to grasp. But Eala, a proud product of the Rafa Nadal Academy, has been putting in the work. And boy, did it show today. On the other side of the net was Magdalena Fręch, the world number 45, a player known for her tricky, loopy baseline game that can completely dismantle a rhythm player. Fręch has been going through a rough patch, searching for a win since her impressive run in Merida months ago, making her a wounded animal on the court, desperate to turn her season around. When you look at this matchup on paper, you see a contrast in styles and generations. You have the aggressive, hard-hitting youth of Eala against the crafty, survivalist instincts of Fręch. What unfolded on the Pietrangeli court was a breathtaking display of dominance, followed by a dramatic collapse, and ultimately, a redemptive resurgence. Eala handed out a brutal first-set bagel, winning 6-0, looking utterly invincible, striking the ball with a kind of heavy topspin that would make her mentor in Mallorca proud. But tennis is a game of momentum, and Fręch, leaning into her experience, flipped the script entirely in the second set, taking it 3-6 by dragging Eala into a muddy, tactical trench war. It all came down to a razor-wire third set, a decider where both women pushed themselves to the absolute physical limit, culminating in a 6-4 finish that had the Roman crowd roaring in appreciation. This victory is monumental. It marks Alexandra Eala's maiden victory at the Italian Open, a massive milestone in her young career and a historic moment for Philippine sports. She is carrying the weight of a nation on her shoulders, and today, she proved that she has the tactical maturity and the emotional bandwidth to survive the unique pressures of a WTA 1000 event. We are going to break down every single facet of this match. We will analyze the startling statistics, the crucial turning points, the biomechanics of their serves, the breakpoint conversions, and the psychological fortitude required to win a match that felt like it was slipping away. Grab your notebooks, tennis fans, because this is going to be an exhaustive, unparalleled deep dive into one of the most fascinating first-round encounters of the 2026 season. To truly understand the anatomy of this match, we have to start at the very beginning, with a first set that can only be described as a flawless exhibition of aggressive clay court tennis. Alexandra Eala stepped onto the court with a clear, uncompromising game plan. From the very first point, it was evident that she was not going to let Magdalena Fręch dictate the pace. Eala took the ball early, completely neutralizing Fręch's attempts to hit deep, loopy balls. The first set was over in a flash, a commanding 6-0 bagel that left the crowd stunned and Fręch searching for answers. Let's talk about how Eala achieved this. On clay, you cannot just hit through your opponent. You have to construct a point, create angles, and use the surface to your advantage. Eala used her heavy left-handed forehand to absolutely pepper Fręch's backhand, pinning the Polish player deep behind the baseline. Eala's footwork was immaculate. She was sliding into her shots with the grace of a seasoned clay courter, recovering quickly and dominating the center of the court. In that first set, Eala's maximum games won in a row peaked at 6, an unbroken streak of pure dominance. But we must look at the underlying statistics to see the full picture. Across the entire match, Eala did not hit a single ace. 0 aces. Now, for a lot of players, not getting free points on the serve could be a death sentence, especially at the WTA 1000 level. But Eala compensated for this with an incredibly robust first serve percentage, landing 68% of her first serves throughout the match. When you put the ball in play that consistently on clay, you force your opponent to work for every single return. She won 56% of points on her first serve. However, the most staggering statistic, and arguably the bedrock of her victory today, was her performance on the second serve. Eala won an astonishing 68% of her second serve points. Let that sink in. To win a higher percentage on your second serve than your first serve is an incredible anomaly in professional tennis. It tells us 2 things. First, Eala's second serve possessed enough kick and depth to prevent Fręch from stepping in and crushing the return. Second, Eala was absolutely lethal in the rallies that ensued after a second serve. She was willing to grind, willing to engage in prolonged rallies that clay demands, and she consistently came out on top. Now, let us contrast this with Magdalena Fręch. Fręch managed to fire down 3 aces, but her overall first serve percentage hovered at 61%. She won 51% on her first serve and 59% on her second. These are solid numbers, but they weren't enough to hurt Eala consistently. The real story of this match, as is so often the case in tennis, lies in the break points. This is where the match was won and lost. Eala generated 12 breakpoint opportunities and converted 6 of them. That is a 50% conversion rate, an incredibly clinical performance when the pressure was at its absolute highest. Fręch, on the other hand, had 9 breakpoint opportunities but could only convert 3. That disparity, those 3 extra breaks of serve, defined the match. Eala won 36, receiving points to Fręch's 34, and in total points won, Eala edged out 82 to 75. So, how do we get from a 6-0 demolition to a highly competitive 3-6 second set? This is where the tactical genius of Magdalena Fręch comes into play, and where Eala's youth showed a momentary vulnerability. After being blown off the court in the first set, Fręch took a bathroom break, reset her mind, and fundamentally changed her strategy. She realized that trying to match Eala's pace and aggression was a losing battle. So, she slowed the game down. She started hitting higher, loopier balls, robbing Eala the pace she loves to feed off. Fręch dragged Eala into a messy, disjointed style of play. She sliced, she changed the spin, she disrupted the rhythm, and it worked beautifully. Eala, perhaps lulled into a false sense of security by the ease of the first set, started to rush. She started going for lines when she didn't need to, losing the patience that had won her the first set. The Polish player jumped out to a quick 3-love lead in the second set. You could feel the tension in the stadium. The crowd, always appreciative of a fight back, rallied behind Fręch. Eala managed to hold serve and eventually broke back in the 5th game, showing resilience. But Fręch broke right back in the 6th game and consolidated her lead, eventually serving out the set 3-6. This was a massive test of character for Eala. It is incredibly demoralizing to play perfect tennis for 30 minutes, only to find herself dragged into an absolute dogfight. Fręch's maximum points won in a row reached 7 during this period, showing just how completely she had snatched the momentum. The match was now tied at 1 set apiece, and the psychological advantage had firmly swung to the side of the Polish veteran. As they entered the deciding 3rd set, the atmosphere at the Nicola Pietrangeli Stadium was electric. This sunken court, surrounded by classical statues and towering pine trees, has seen countless gladiatorial battles, and it was now hosting another. Fręch, riding the wave of her second set comeback, opened the decider with a terrifying 2-love lead. At this point, many players of Eala's age might have folded. The demons of self-doubt could easily have crept in. After all, her overall win-loss record on clay hasn't been stellar, and she had dropped 4 double faults over the course of the match, an indicator of the serving tension she was feeling. But this is where the champion's mindset, the endless hours of grueling practice, and the unwavering belief truly manifest. Eala refused to yield. She dug her heels into the red dirt and went back to basics. She increased her margin over the net, prioritized depth over extreme angles, and committed to outworking Fręch in every single rally. She slowly chipped away at the deficit, leveling the set. The match reached its absolute boiling point at 4 games, all in the third set, with Eala serving. This 9th game was an epic saga in itself. Eala was under immense pressure, the weight of the match bearing down on her shoulders. She found herself facing 2 massive break points. If Fręch converted either of these, she would serve for the match. Fręch had the entire court open on one of those break points, but made a critical, unforced error off her forehand. The pressure of the moment got to the veteran. Eala, seizing the lifeline, saved both break points, found her powerful first serve when she needed it most, and held for a 5-4 lead. That hold of serve broke Fręch's spirit. You could see the physical and emotional toll of the missed opportunities, weighing heavily on the Polish player. Serving to stay in the match at 4-5, Fręch faltered. Eala, smelling blood in the water, dialed up the aggression. She unleashed a massive down-the-line winner that absolutely painted the clay, breaking Fręch in the 10th game to seal the victory 6-4. Eala dropped her racket, raised her arms in triumph, and immediately ran to her box to embrace her coaches. It was a victory forged in fire, an ugly, beautiful, gritty win that required every ounce of her mental strength. Let us take a moment to contextualize this win for Alexandra Eala and what it means for the broader landscape of women's tennis. At just 20 years old, she is already a trailblazer. Coming from the Philippines, a country with a massive passion for sports, but historically limited infrastructure for global tennis development, her rise is nothing short of inspirational. She trains at the Rafa Nadal Academy, and you can see the Spanish clay court philosophy ingrained in her DNA. The heavy topspin, the relentless running, the refusal to concede a single point without a fight. This victory over Magdalena Fręch is only her 3rd win of the season's European clay swing. It proves that she is adapting, that she is learning the nuances of the dirt. Last year, a loss to Kostuk here in Rome might have dented her confidence. This year, she showed up, faced a seasoned top 50 player, suffered a mid-match collapse, and still found a way to win. That is the hallmark of a future top 10 player. For Magdalena Fręch, this loss will sting bitterly. She has now been winless for over 2 months, a drought stretching back to the Merida finals. She played the right tactical game in the 2nd set. She executed her game plan perfection to disrupt Eala, but when the margins were razor-thin in the 3rd set, her execution failed her. The unforced errors on those critical break points in the 9th game of the decider will undoubtedly haunt her, but Fręch is a seasoned professional. She knows how to navigate the brutal highs and lows of the tour. She will need to regroup, find her confidence, and look ahead to the French Open. Looking forward, Alexandra Eala's path does not get any easier. In the 2nd round, she is slated to face the 31st seed, Wang Xinyu. This is a fascinating matchup. Wang has had her own struggles recently, suffering early exits against lower-ranked opponents, and clay is not traditionally her strongest surface either. Furthermore, Wang defeated Eala in the Auckland semifinals earlier this year in January. So this is a prime opportunity for Eala to exact revenge and level their head-to-head record. If Eala can maintain the patience she showed in the 1st set today and combine it with the mental resilience she displayed in the 3rd, she has a very real chance of advancing further into this prestigious tournament. She will need to clean up the unforced errors, perhaps find a way to get a few more free points on her serve, and ensure her footwork remains sharp against Wang's flat, powerful hitting. As we wrap up this extensive analysis of a truly captivating first-round clash, we are reminded of why we dedicate so much of our time and passion to this sport. Tennis is a microcosm of life. It tests you, it pushes you to the brink of despair, and it demands that you find solution when nothing seems to be working. Alexandra Eala did exactly that today. She experienced the soaring high of a 6-0 set, the crushing frustration of losing the 2nd set 3-6, and the ultimate gritty satisfaction of closing out the decider 6-4. She proved to herself, to her team, and to the legion of fans cheering for her back in the Philippines and around the world that she belongs on the biggest stages. The Internazionali BNL d'Italia is a tournament steeped in history. The clay of Rome has been graced by legends, by titans of the sport who have bled and sweat on these courts. By securing her first-ever victory at the Foro Italico, Alexandra Eala has written her own small piece of history into the annals of this magnificent event. The statistics tell a story of resilience, winning despite hitting 0 aces, dominating the second serve win percentage, and stepping up on the crucial break points. But beyond the numbers, it was the intangible qualities, the heart, the desire, the refusal to surrender, that truly separated Eala from Fręch today. This match is a masterclass for any aspiring tennis player watching. It shows that you do not need to play perfect tennis for 3 sets to win a match. You simply need to play the right tennis at the right moments. Eala's ability to survive that harrowing 9th game in the 3rd set, saving 2 break points when her opponent had the momentum, is a defining takeaway from this encounter. It is a testament to the mental conditioning she has undergone, transforming her from a talented junior into a battle-hardened professional on the WTA Tour. As the European clay swing marches onward toward the grand finale at Roland Garros, all eyes will be on Eala to see how she builds on this monumental victory. Can she harness this momentum against Wang Xinyu? Can she continue to adapt her aggressive baseline game to unique demands of the red dirt? Only time will tell. But one thing is absolutely certain. Alexandra Eala is a force to be reckoned with, a vibrant, resilient competitor who is rapidly becoming one of the most exciting young players to watch in women's tennis. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive analysis. The sport of tennis moves at a relentless pace, and the narratives are constantly evolving. The beauty of the WTA Tour is its sheer unpredictability, the constant rise of new challengers, and the unyielding spirit of competition. We will continue to track Alexandra Eala's journey through the Italian Open and beyond, breaking down the strategies, the statistics, and the human drama that makes this sport so incredibly captivating. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes on the courts, and never underestimate the power of fighting for every single point. Until next time, keep loving the game, keep analyzing the tactics, and enjoy the rest of the spectacular action from the red clay of Rome.